Good evening, dear viewers. Welcome back to the Diplomatic Talk. In this episode, we will discuss diplomatic relations between Slovak Republic and Uzbekistan. Before we proceed, let's explore Slovakia. Bratislava is the only capital in the world that borders two countries. The capital of Slovakia sits on borders with Austria and Hungary. A trip to the Austrian capital Vienna is only 60 kilometers away. That's around an hour by bus. It also holds the record for the world's shortest flight, 10 minutes. The entire town became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993. The wooden structure reaches almost 19 meters high and 6 meters wide, made without a single nail. The altar of Saint Jacob, created by Master Paul, is located in the Church of Saint James in Levoča. Children aged under 15, students under 26, pensioners receiving Social Security income under 62, as well as seniors over 62 years of age with EU citizenship or residents are entitled to zero-fare transport services. With a population of just under 5.5 million inhabitants, Slovakia has the world's highest number of castles and chateaux, with 180 castles and 425 chateaux, the most famous of which is the UNESCO-listed 900-years-old Spiš Castle, just outside of the village of Zehra. This corresponds to the highest concentration of castles per capita in the world. Forests cover approximately 2 million hectares or 40% of the Slovak Republic. Of these, about 60% are state forests and 40% non-state forests. Of the latter, more than 50% belong to associations. The remaining are private, municipal and church forests. There are 5 national parks covering 200,000 hectares or 4% of the area. Now, let's explore relations between Slovak Republic and Uzbekistan. Currently, Viktor Baretsky has the diplomatic mission of Slovak Republic in Uzbekistan. In contrast, Uzbekistan does not have representative of diplomatic mission in Slovakia. However, Embassy of Uzbekistan in Vienna, Austria, is accredited for Slovak Republic. When it comes to bilateral relations between Uzbekistan and Slovakia, both countries demonstrate a growing economic and parliamentary partnership. Economically, Slovakia's export to Uzbekistan reached $47.2 million. The emergence of new production facilities in Slovakia has led to increased demand for labor, prompting interest in Uzbek labor migrants. Countries mainly collaborate in car production industry. To facilitate this, joint courses for training and professional development of Uzbek labor migrants are being developed. It aims to match the labor force from Uzbekistan with Slovak industry needs. Countries collaborate with companies like Volkswagen, Slovakia to address labor requirements and increase production capacity. High-level meetings between Uzbekistan Senate and the Slovakia's National Council were held. On April last year, Chairman of the Senate of the Oli Majlis Tanzila Narbayeva met with a delegation from the Parliament of Slovakia led by Speaker of the National Council Boris Köhler. Parties focused on parliamentary friendship groups and exchange of parliamentary experience. Tanzila Narbayeva emphasized the consistent development of interparliamentary relations and its contribution to enhancing cooperation between Uzbekistan and Slovakia. Today with us His Excellency Ambassador Viktor Baretsky. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, fine, thank you.
Mr. Ambassador, how long you've been working in this sector, in diplomacy?
I have been working in diplomacy since 1996. Having started my diplomatic career in Moscow, now I have been working in Tashkent for a year and 3 months.
Год и 3 месяца.
How many countries have you already visited?
В принципе, я работал...
I have worked in Moscow, Latvia, Kazakhstan, and in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is my 5th mission thus far.
Have you studied in international relations field? Have you planned that one day you will become a diplomat?
Нет, я никогда не думал, что буду...
No, I never thought I would be a diplomat. I graduated from the Agricultural University of Slovakia. Then I started working in the Ministry of Agriculture. Originally representing the Slovak Ministry of Agriculture in Moscow, I later transitioned to Slovakia's Economic Diplomatic Section in Moscow. The posting in Tashkent is the first time I have been posted as an ambassador.
Do you remember your first mission, for example, the first country that you went, how it was?
Первая миссия в Москве,
My first mission was in Moscow. I was 31 years old. I was young. I went to Moscow with my wife and son, who was 6 years old. It was an interesting mission because the embassy was large and everything was together. Both the embassy building and the embassy hotel for accommodation were right next to each other. Moreover, we had a large group of Slovaks of around 500 people.
One more question that we ask all ambassadors in our program. Have you ever faced a cultural shock when you went to any of those countries? If yes, what it was?
Нет, у меня не было никакого шока.
No, moving to Tashkent didn't shock me. I had worked in Kazakhstan for 4 years. The first 3.5 years in Almaty and then 6 months in Astana. I visited Uzbekistan often, to relax and to get to know the country. I visited Tashkent, Bukhara, Samarkand 3 times, so I didn't experience any cultural shock.
That's interesting, because you came from Europe and it's Central Asia, and of course it is different, right?
Да, само собой.
Yes, of course, the culture here is different, and so are the living conditions and the weather. Compared to your weather, our humidity is higher, while the temperature is lower. The weather is more continental here. In summer it's hot, and in winter it's cold. While we do get minus 20 degrees here, it's quite rare, but it happens. I knew where I was going, and I was happy to come to your country.
What are some positive things, advantages, let's say, of being diplomat, and disadvantages as well?
Выгода быть дипломатом, это значит...
The advantage of being a diplomat is meeting many people, making new friends, and helping to develop relationships between countries and companies. Another advantage is that it is a very prestigious position with a good salary. The disadvantage is that you lose friends at home and lose contacts in your country. I call it a nomadic lifestyle. Collect your things, fly off to another country, 4 years here, 4 years there, collect your things, fly to another country or return home.
What do you like the most in your job?
Это как раз эти отношения и контакты.
Well, it's communicating with people, exchanging opinions, experiences and contacts. It is the most important thing for me.
Have you faced any difficulties as an ambassador?
Всегда есть какие-то проблемы.
There are always some problems when you move to a new country. Finding a new house, you need to find equipment, furniture. There are problems with property owners. Well, it happens everywhere, that's life. It is hard to say, because each country is different. I will always love all the countries where I have worked. There are different people everywhere and different mentalities. For example, in Moscow I was young, learning everything and just beginning. Meanwhile, Bosnia and Herzegovina is a very interesting country. You have everything from very beautiful mountains to the sea. But the difference is that the war in the 1990s, after the breakup of Yugoslavia, led to the disagreements between the peoples of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Still, it's hard to say where it's better, where it's more beautiful. It's good everywhere.
Now let's move on to bilateral relations of two countries. What are some projects or plans that two countries are already implementing?
Мы стараемся, значит, много проектов, которые...
We are trying to develop many projects, yet we have not been lucky enough to achieve everything we could have wanted thus far. There is an idea to organize a meeting of an intergovernment commission. We have just started working on an agreement on economic cooperation between Uzbekistan and Slovakia, because our embassy has been here for a long time. Yet that your embassy in Vienna has not yet been accredited to Slovakia. Our relations in the economic industry are developing very well. While this is not yet apparent from trade statistics, our trade goes not only directly between the two countries, but goes through other European partners as well. There are a number of projects in the pipeline, such as the provision of road safety equipment, reservoir protection projects, projects in metallurgy and various energy concepts. In principle, they are all moving forward, but they are not yet ready.
You've mentioned about your first project. It was something related with commission. What is the aim of this project? How it will help countries?
Значит, заседание межправительственной комиссии.
The meeting of the Intergovernmental Commission would bring together local officials and officials from different ministries of the Slovak Republic, such as the Ministry of Economy, Health, Environment, Education. These people would meet and agree on the organization of follow-up projects. Additionally, a business forum would simultaneously take place within the framework of the meeting of the Intergovernmental Commission, bringing Slovak company representatives here to negotiate with Uzbek companies. I think this is the most important thing, as it follows businesses to negotiate directly and reach agreements with each other.
You mentioned about the business. What do you think? What sector of business here in Uzbekistan is more promising?
Значит, энергетика.
As I have said earlier, business with Uzbekistan's energy sector seems to be the most promising. There are also opportunities in the agricultural sector and tourism, which is also developing considerably. There are also opportunities in the mechanical engineering segment, as there are projects, for example, for railroad cars and highways. There is a lot going on, but we cannot reveal everything yet.
You mentioned about those sectors. What do you think if your commission will be approved and it will operate here? So two business enterprises can work together?
Ну, у нас уже была в прошлом году миссия из Узбекистана.
Of course, we had a mission last August from Uzbekistan in Slovakia, with 30 Uzbek companies visiting Slovakia. We have already organized a meeting in Slovakia in Bratislava. All we need to do now is organize an in-person follow-up mission here in Uzbekistan. In addition, we are also cooperating outside of industrial cooperation, namely in education. A lot of students come to Slovakia on a student exchange program. Last year there were around 70 students. This year there will be one scholarship for Uzbekistan, a scholarship for higher education, where the studies will take 5 years, with the first year focusing on learning the Slovak language. The Slovak Republic will pay for the scholarship.
Wow, it's interesting. It's amazing. So there are also opportunities for students of Uzbekistan to go there and study, right?
Exactly.
Great. What about tourism? How many people from Uzbekistan visit Slovakia?
По туризму из Узбекистана в Словакию.
Regarding tourism from Uzbekistan, there is very little publicity about Slovakia and Uzbekistan, but we do not have precise data on the flow of tourists. There are some statistics, but I do not have those data at hand. Last year we issued around 500 visas for Schengen, tourism and business. On the flip side, we have Slovak tourists coming here to Uzbekistan, but there are no statistics regarding this. They come to see Khiva, Bukhara, Samarkand and Tashkent, but we do not have how many people are coming.
So my next question is for the students, let's say, who are watching us right now and one day dreaming to become a diplomat like you, what would you recommend?
Как говорят американцы, good question.
As Americans like to say, that is a good question. You need to study, study and study. But more seriously, you have to be forward-looking. You have to be an open-minded person. If you want to be a diplomat, you have to join the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In fact, it is hard to advise people on how to get into diplomacy. Much of it relies on being in the right place at the right time. I wanted to point out that last year we held elections to elect a new government. The President of the Slovak Republic has also recently been elected, who will be appointed on June 15, 2024. We would like to have bilateral visits of the Prime Minister and the President of Slovakia to Uzbekistan, as well as of the President of Uzbekistan to Slovakia, but this is likely only from the next year.
That would be interesting. It's the meeting of the high level. Yes. So if this all, thank you for coming. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. It was very nice to participate in this format and this TV program.
Thank you for watching our program and joining us on this diplomatic journey. Stay tuned for our next diplomatic talk.